Go back and look at the record, bruh. Like, if they were in the East, they would have been like a 3 seed. I vividly remember people arguing to try to reseed basketball because a 48-win team in the West didn't make the playoffs. I vividly recall these conversations on ESPN, on Fox Sports, but I digress. All I'm saying is I'm not mad at Kevin Durant. I'm just saying I wouldn't have went to the Oklahoma City, from Oklahoma City to Golden State. That looks like a player who is trying to take the easy way out. I'm not saying that you have to do the most difficult thing, but it wouldn't have been the most difficult thing for him to stay in Oklahoma City. You got Russell Westbrook on your team, man.
That's not enough.
You got to really,
man. Too many super teams.
But they were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. They didn't get put out in the first round. I know they lost, but listen, Pierre. They were up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and they did lose. Over the holiday break, 4th of July, I watched a lot of basketball, like history shows, man. I watched the Detroit Pistons struggle to win an NBA championship, man. They lost several times in the Eastern Conference Finals. I watched the Chicago Bulls struggle with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen to win that championship. Man, I watched Dr. J struggle to win that NBA championship in Philadelphia. It's not supposed to be easy. But if you have competent players, if you have another really good, great player like Russell Westbrook on your team, it can happen. It's not guaranteed that Golden State is going to win a championship. It's not guaranteed.
It is guaranteed, pretty much.
And then it's not guaranteed, man. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Andre Iguodala, I'm not going to, because he's not a starter. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, they can't play the entire game, man.
They don't have to. They're going to be stretches where some of them are on the floor and some of them are not on the floor. But they're always going to have at least 2 scorers on the floor.
It's not going to be easy for Golden State to win a championship, but just me personally, being the competitor that I am, I wouldn't have went to Golden State.
And you would have never won a championship.
I'm just, listen, me personally, I would have stayed in Oklahoma City because, like, I got Russell Westbrook, man. I got Steven Adams. I got Enes Kanter. I have a competent. But listen, you act like Oklahoma City got put out in the first round of the playoffs this year.
But they lost.
I know they lost. Golden State lost too.
He's not trying to go to the Western Conference Finals. He's trying to win a championship.
I understand this.
And it's hard to do that.
So riddle me this. Would you have had a problem with LeBron James leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers last year to go to Golden State after they lost to Golden State in the finals?
No, you're the one that has a problem with it. I don't have a problem with anything that's going on. If you're a free agent, go wherever you want to. That's why you're an unrestricted free agent.
Now, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with Kevin Durant leaving to go to Golden State. I just wouldn't have done it because I feel like when he made that decision, when he on the Players Tribune, when he sent that message, all I heard was an MC8 song in my mind. Triggers Gots No Heart. Like bruh, you went to Golden State? That's just like LeBron would have went to Golden State after Cleveland lost in the finals. No, LeBron was like, nah, man, I'm going to win a championship in Cleveland. We're going to come back and we're going to try to do it next year because I think I got a competent enough team to do it. And they did. Man, what a difference a day makes. What a difference a week makes. What a difference a year makes, man. You don't like Kevin Durant. You just gave up on Russell. You just gave up on Oklahoma City.
We have to go to commercial break more when we return to the All Things Sport podcast.
Thank you for listening to the All Things Sport podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks. Be sure to check out the In My Humble YouTube channel for all your sporting needs.
Hi, this is Daimeon Banks. Thank you for listening to the All Things Sport podcast. You can also catch me on the Puff TV Morning Combo on Blog Talk Radio every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Call 347-677-0956 and I'll give you Sports by Daimeon.
What you ain't heard?
Somebody done told you wrong, punk.
It's the All Things Sport podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks.
Latifah, party's right here.
On Speaker Radio.
Yes, sir. We are back on the All Things Sport podcast. I'm Daimeon. He's Pierre. Man, we just had a very spirited discussion about Kevin Durant leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder and joining the Golden State Warriors in free agency. Another big free agent move, Pierre. I know Kevin Durant, his situation has been getting a lot of attention. This just happened in the last day or two, man. Something that I really thought that wouldn't happen. Dwayne Wade, Mr. Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade, has parted ways with the Heat, and Wade has signed with his hometown Chicago Bulls, man. Explain this situation. How did this happen?
Daimeon, it came from years of Dwayne Wade just feeling disrespected by the Miami Heat. When you look at his situation, there's been so many different times to where he's taken a hit to his salary, or he's made room for other people to come into the fold, the LeBron James of the world, the Chris Boshes of the world, Shaquille O'Neal, and the list goes on, to where he sacrificed for the betterment of the team and the Miami Heat organization, because he always felt like at the end of the day, they would look out for him. Similar to what the Lakers did for Kobe Bryant. And I always respect the Lakers organization for that. They know how much money Kobe Bryant has made that franchise over the past 20 years. Dwayne Wade has did the same exact thing for the Miami Heat. Maybe not as many years, only been in the league since 2003, but he has made that franchise a lot of money, brought them 3 championships. They're only 3 championships. So he felt that at the end of the day, he should have been taken care of by that franchise. It didn't happen, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back, because this is not the first year that it's happened. And he said, you know what? I'm going to somewhere where they will appreciate me. The fans always appreciated him, but he needs that appreciation from the front office, and especially in his pocketbook. And then, he went home. $3 million less than what he was requesting, but he has that peace of mind of knowing that, he's gonna start getting that respect.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade wanted some respect on his name, and Pat Riley wasn't willing to give him that respect, man. And it's a shame too, because Dwayne Wade is one of those guys. He had played his whole career in Miami. When you thought of the Miami Heat, you thought of Dwayne Wade. And like you said, man, he had been making concessions in the previous years, concessions in his salary, so that Miami could pay other players and try to build a winner. And, he and Pat Riley in the front office, Mickey Arison, the owner of the Heat, they just weren't seeing eye to eye at this particular point. And I guess Dwayne Wade felt like he needed to move on, and Miami, they didn't match the offer or anything from Chicago, so I guess they felt the feeling was mutual that they needed to move on. And he is now with the Chicago Bulls, man. This free agent period in the NBA is getting crazy, man. Now the Bulls have signed Dwayne Wade away from the Heat. They also signed Rajon Rondo, who is also a free agent from the Sacramento Kings. So the Bulls,
yeah, they're gonna have a pretty good roster.
The Bulls, they have a pretty good, 3-headed monster. And Chicago, man, you got Pau Gasol going to the San Antonio Spurs. It's a lot of free agent movement and a lot of players getting huge contracts, man. I'm talking like grande, grande contracts in the NBA right now, man. And that TV money, that new TV money is kicking in this year. The salary cap went up, and that salary cap is going to go up next year again. You got free agents like Steph, Russell, LeBron will be a free agent. You got a lot of Kyle Lowry will be a free agent. A lot of free agents next year, man. You can see a lot of player movement next year as well.
Absolutely, Daimeon, which brings us to our All Things Sport Top 5 this week. As you mentioned earlier in the show, with all the movement and the free agent signings in the NBA this year, we decided it'd be a lot of fun to take a look at some of the best free agent signings, or trades rather, in all of sports.
The All Things Sport Top 5. Number 5.
I'm going to go ahead and get us started this week. Frank Robinson traded from the Cincinnati Reds to the Baltimore Orioles. Frank Robinson, who during his career with Cincinnati was the 1956 Rookie of the Year. He won the Gold Glove in 58 and was the 58 NL MVP. 8-time All-Star in his 10 years with the Cincinnati Reds. And they just decided to give him up, and the owner of the Reds back then was famously quoted as saying that Frank Robinson was not a young 30 at the time that he was traded. Bonehead thing to say, but when he was traded to Baltimore, the very next year, the Baltimore Orioles won the World Series in 1966, and Frank Robinson was the World Series MVP. The Orioles won the pennant in 69, 70, and 71 during Mr. Robinson's time. And again in 1970 won the World Series, this time over his former team, the Cincinnati Reds. So, it was a bad move for Cincinnati, but a great move for the Baltimore Orioles. And it earns my spot at number 5 on this week's All Things Sport Top 5.
Pierre, great way to start off the top 5, man. I'm a big Baltimore Orioles fan, man. Birdland. So good to see that you swallowed your Boston Red Sox pride and shouted out my Orioles, man. Let me give you guys my number 5 on the one of the blockbuster trades in all of sports history. I'm gonna go to the NBA, man. Moses Malone. Petersburg, Virginia's own Moses Malone, man, being traded from the Houston Rockets to the Philadelphia 76ers before the 83 season, man. Dr. J had been struggling to win that championship in Philadelphia after he came over from the ABA, man, and he needed some help, man. And that help came in the way of Moses Malone, man. Malone averaged 24 points, 15 rebounds during that year, man. He was a beast, man. Philly went on to sweep the LA Lakers 4-0 in the NBA Finals, man. Moses Malone won that Finals MVP just 1 year after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had dominated the 76ers, man. Philly needed Moses Malone. Moses Malone needed Philly. Brought that championship to Philadelphia and Julius Erving, man. My number 5 is the Houston Rockets trading Moses Malone to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Number 4.
I'm going to the Dallas Cowboys, shipping off what could have been their franchise running back, Herschel Walker, to the Minnesota Vikings for 5 players and what amounted to 8 draft picks, in which eventually built the Dallas Cowboys to their most prominent years in the NFL at the early to mid 90s, where they won Super Bowl titles in 92, 93, and 95. They could have won 4 in a row if it wasn't for the heroics of the San Francisco 49ers in 94, Steve Young, Ricky Waters, and the Deion Sanders and company back in 94. But Jimmy Johnson, he went out on a whim for this trade, and the story goes that he was on a jog with his assistant coaches and he was thinking to himself, the only way that they could get better, which they were going through an abysmal time in Cowboys history, was through a blockbuster trade. And he thought about maybe trading Michael Irvin, and he tried to trade him to the Raiders, but the story goes, Al Davis said, are you sure you want to do this? If you trade him, who's going to catch passes for you? So he rethought it and came up with Herschel Walker, and it worked out great for him. And in the end, they ended up picking up the great Emmitt Smith. Darren Woodson ended up getting a number 1 pick out of the deal. DN Russell Maryland. So everything that they did in that trade set them up for success in what was the most successful years in Cowboys history.
Pierre, great minds think alike some of the time. You went with the NFL for your number 4 trade. I'm also going with the NFL for my number 4 trade. And I'm going with the Jerome Bettis trade in 96, man, from the St. Louis Rams to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers got Bettis for a 2nd and 4th round pick, man. And I always loved Jerome Bettis. When I was a kid, I was a huge NC State fan, but I also liked Notre Dame because Notre Dame played on NBC. And I like Notre Dame because they had gold helmets. I'm an NBC sports fan. That's the reason why I like Baltimore Orioles, because they played on NBC. And I liked Notre Dame when I was a kid. And I like Raghib Ishmael, and I love Jerome Bettis, man. But I digress. The St. Louis Rams traded Jerome Bettis to the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. All he did was rush for 1,000 yards in his first 6 seasons in Pittsburgh, man. Helped the Steelers